Welcome back to the Coach Emery Show. My name is Emery, Coach Emery, aka Emery McMillan, and today I have with me a super cool guy. He's in Buffalo. And if you're from Buffalo, you kind of know this guy. This is Michael Anderson. I call him Mike. I never got permission to do so, but I just do anyway. And Mike is the founder of Grow Buffalo. Now, if you're from Buffalo and you have a business, or you're in business or support businesses, you should know about Grow Buffalo. So I want Mike to really introduce himself, and I'll dive in with a bunch of questions like I always do.
Yeah, Michael, it doesn't really matter. You can call me, really whatever you want. And yeah, so I'm founder of Grow Buffalo Business. Was director, recently stepped down really for the betterment of the organization. We have an amazing new leader in Sabrina Rodriguez taken over that's really able to kind of help take us to that next level. In terms of myself in general, I don't know how far you want me to go, but
go as far as you want.
Yeah, I mean,
Tell
so
them all about you.
I do a lot of different things. So I'm also an insurance agent, independent contractor for that. I left banking to kind of get into the entrepreneurial world because I've kind of always had that spirit and mentality and never really utilized it. And then started the nonprofit with two other founders, Kanishka and Connie. And then also during COVID, started my own business, which I was planning to just kind of keep on the side, but has grown quicker than I anticipated. And it's really what grow is what I love doing. Love being able to help businesses and business owners in a variety of ways. And that's why insurance was nice, is separate from the insurance, because overall, I mean, insurance is boring, but it can, you can do so many things to help business owners and connect with them. But the commercial lending and commercial mortgages, the business that I do as a broker, is really what I love doing and really what I plan on growing over the next 5+ years.
That's really cool, man. You do a lot of things. You are we we should hang out because we probably would get along a lot more offline. So this is my third time having an actual conversation with Michael. I was on Grow Buffalo one time presenting, just kind of having a conversation, and then I did a presentation for the Taskmaster program that I had launched a while ago, and Mike brought me on board to do that, and I was really honored and flattered that you had chose me and allowed me to present that program, and it did help a couple of people that were part of Grow Buffalo, so I thank you for that. And I want to dive into really the mindset behind your entrepreneurial spirit, right? Because you just told me a lot of things that you do, and aside from banking, pretty much all of them fall under the wheelhouse of entrepreneurship. So I really want to know, when did you know that was something for entrepreneurship was something you wanted to dive into?
I mean, actually when I was younger, but I didn't really do any. Even when I was younger, I would go to so this was probably, 8, 9, 10 years old. I remember going to the lot. Like I'm not a big reader. I don't really read books. Even when I was younger, I'd read sports books. I'd read money books and things like that. And I remember this book of, I can't remember the exact title, but it was like 100 different ways to make money as a kid. But my dad used to set up at the flea market, the super flea, when it was around. We would go there every weekend, and I was always a numbers person, so I was able to memorize all of the price, which now cards are a lot different, but it was a lot easier back then.
Right.
It was basically good condition, fair condition, or bad condition. Now it's like you got to get them rated. But either way, I used to go around and take a box of my dad's cards and go around and try to sell them to all the dealers, and my dad would give me a percentage of them. And looking back at them, like, it's crazy that they were dealing with this 8 and 9-year-old.
Right.
And I knew the cards and prices better than them. And then eventually I set up my own stand with my cousin, selling our own sports cards. So it really did start early. And I never really did much with it, but I did go to college for business.
Mm-hmm.
And just was in sales for about 20 years before getting into really switching from corporate to what I've been doing now. So I'm 39 now, so it really took me a good 20 plus years to really get into it, but I'm thankful for all the experience, because a lot of things I was not natural at, networking, speaking,
Right.
even sales. It just took a lot of practice and, continuing to, push myself um, through uncomfortability, things that I didn't know, and that sort of thing.
Wow. And and a lot of people, and I thank you for sharing like the timeline of it all, because a lot of people, the entrepreneurship journey to some is like, okay, you know what? I'm sick of my job. I'm just going to build this thing, right? But a lot of people don't understand that every job you've worked, every place you've been, everything you've done, has created in your mind a part of this process that you're now going to implement into your business. So I'm glad that you ran down that timeline, because 9, 10 years old, you're negotiating with adults that run businesses on behalf of your father, but you're really setting the tone for your future, which is what you're doing right now. And now you fully in that space where it's your cards that you're implementing to these people, but you already had that in you. So I love that you shared that, and I love that you can tie that back to that long ago.
Yeah, and I think about it too. I'm like, man, I wish I would have started a business when I was, 21, 22, even
Right.
30. I'm like, oh, I'd be rich by now. But when I also look at it, I'm like, without those prior experiences and, the banking experience, other sales experiences, there's a possibility I would have failed and gone in the opposite direction, and started maybe as business, and then went to corporate, and be kind of not stuck, but so I look at it as it happened the way that it did for a reason. Obviously, I look back, I'm like, oh man, it would have been great if I started 10 years ago, but it probably
Right.
wouldn't work the same way either.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think that that's really kind of how all of our stories kind of unfold, right? There's that thing you wish you would have done, but if you would have done it, you probably wouldn't have done it as well as you're doing it right now, because you wouldn't have that one missing piece. So, I like you, I did banking for a long time. I was in banking, then HR, and I really couldn't find my own space in those companies, right? I'm very particular about how I like to do business. I'm very particular about how I like to handle clients, customers, and even coworkers. And so for me, a lot of companies didn't really have the culture that fit into my mindset and my lifestyle. Like, I'm very big on being transparent and when I'm dealing with business. And a lot of the companies, they're in it to make money, which obviously we know that, but there's a lot of things that are negotiated and then handed to you and say, hey, do this. But if you're a smart person and you already have an entrepreneur mindset, there's some fluff in here that you don't feel comfortable telling your client. You don't feel comfortable selling to somebody. And that was me. Like, I've had several conversations with managers and supervisors, and I'm just like, I really don't think I'm the guy for this gig, because I know that we can get them a lower percent. I know that we kind of fluff this, and I'm not comfortable with that. So,
Yeah.
that was really what pushed me into getting out of the sales side of corporate America and going into the HR side, thinking that I would be able to make a difference there. In some of those gigs with HR, were like, oh, I'm just taking notes. I'm not actually helping people. So, to saying all that is kind of how I got into the entrepreneurship thing. Is I wanted to be able to build it with the integrity that I represent in my life versus having someone else's assumed integrity, governing my life. So that's really kind of why I jumped into it. So now here we are, entrepreneurs, influences in Buffalo. How does it feel to be able to build a business here in Buffalo?
Um, how does it feel? That's a good question. To build a business specifically here in Buffalo. I mean, the
Mhm.
one thing is, you really have to work hard at building, so, the way that I do business is literally 100% referrals. So you have to really work hard to build trust, um, and support, and you have to be extremely consistent, and I think also authentic, and also like you have to really kind of go above and beyond, but it takes time. I mean, when I left the bank, which was tough, which it was just, crazy how it's just crazy how things worked out. Cause I thought I was going to be at the bank forever. And then just one thing happened and it changed. And I'm like, all right, I need to do this now, because if I wait any longer, I won't be able to leave, because I'll be, money wise, I wouldn't have been able to leave it if I was making just a little bit more.
Right.
So I spent leading up to that, because I was in a management position. Once I got into that, that's when I kind of started my networking journey. But then especially when I left the bank, my whole goal was to just do as much as I could to kind of give back to others and build my relationships and connections. And I just just nonstop did that. And learn that, one, you can't connect with everyone. So you can't like force the relationships. I'd say out of every 5 people I met with, I connected with maybe one that we continued a relationship.
Right.
So, you really have to work hard at building your relationships. It takes, Buffalo is a big city in a sense, but it's also a very small knit community as well.
Right.
And there's also, in a variety of ways, each area is kind of really segregated in different groups. And even just south towns to north towns, Buffalo to the suburbs.
Right.
So also being able to connect with different groups of people, it just it takes consistency and effort, and again authenticity, and being genuine along the way. So I think that's just, in Buffalo, if you're going to build your business that way,
right.
You really have to be patient, consistent, persistent, and really want to help others.
Right. And that's actually kind of why I asked that question. You touched on it exactly, that Buffalo is such a, it's not the biggest city, but it has so many sub areas that are still considered Buffalo, that you're doing business with multiple walks of life, multiple types of people. You're shaking hands with a millionaire, you're shaking hands with someone who works at Walmart. It doesn't matter kind of where they're at in their life, they're all part of your network in a sense. And so with Buffalo being such a vast type of place and having such different personalities, and you being from Buffalo, it'd be different if you went to Silicon Valley and you built something where no one knows you, right? You're here, you're from here, or you live here. So building a business where you live, a lot of times either you get the support you need, or you don't get the support you need, and you end up dealing with strangers, or you get the support within your network. So I was wondering how that journey was for you. And like you said, authenticity and understanding how to be, yourself in any room with any type of person. I love that. And, that your personality is, it goes very far. A lot of people that I talk to that know you or know of you, they have nothing but good things to say. So it's kind of like, I love the fact that when I was, mention your name or mention Grow Buffalo, and your name comes up, it's always good feedback. So
I appreciate that. You haven't run into the right people then, I guess.
I'll get to searching then. I want to dig up some stuff. Not just playing. But so let's talk about Grow Buffalo for a moment here. I really wanted to know, a while ago, right, when I first heard about Grow Buffalo, what really made you build something like that? What made you want to create something like that?
So, part of it was, I've always, kind of just been a giver. I was raised in a really supportive family, loving family, lived with my grandmother and father growing up, and just always helping others, always welcoming others.
Right.
My mother is probably the most selfless person you'll ever meet. So it was ingrained in me. But also, growing up, I went through a lot of things. I got in trouble. I dropped out of high school. I, a ton of different things. That could be a whole nother hour plus conversation.
Right.
But along the way, I was always lucky to have, care and support around me. So
Right.
I always want, it's ingrained in me to want to give it back. But basically what happened was, I knew when the shutdown happened in the beginning of, in the beginning of Corona, I knew I was going to be okay. Like the business that I had, and how my income worked, like it hurt me,
Right.
but I knew I was going to be okay. So as soon as the shutdowns happened, what I started doing is utilizing my network and reaching out to other business owners or other professionals that maybe weren't as affected, but have great, either whether it be like leadership, experience, knowledge, but are also people who like to give back. So I started reaching out to my network and building a list of people that were willing to provide some of their expertise and services for free to other business owners that were struggling. So I built up a list of probably about 20 people where they were willing to, whether it be, hey, you get an hour of this free, or hey, yeah, let's talk, I can help you in this area. A variety of different people, but there was about 20 people that I built a list and was kind of just putting it out there so business owners can utilize that as a resource during a tough time. And they were all people just willing to give it for free. So I spent like, a couple days or a week just kind of pounding on getting these people together. So that was kind of my way to try to give back. And then Connie, she was wanting to separately, her and I were already friends and networking groups. She was wanting to put together a Facebook group, literally just to provide resources, links and just different resources in a variety of different ways. So her and I connected. I was like, let's start this Facebook group together and create this one event. And then Kanishka, who I met previously, he, went, because I didn't know Zoom before that. When somebody would be like, you want to jump on a Zoom call? I'm like, are you crazy? Why would I want to do that?
Right.
So he was, he had, the marketing expertise, but he had the technology expertise. So he came in immediately. So we created one event where it's just like, hey, let's just get people together.
Right.
And kind of just took off from there. And we did, over the first 6 months, we probably did, what is that? 4 to 5, probably about 4 events every week, workshops, networking events, panel events. I was probably spending 20 to 30 hours a week on it. Wow. And we were doing it all for free for the first year. We did it all for free.
Wow. Do you feel that, I know you said you did it so that you can help provide resources and help connect businesses to businesses or businesses to resources. Do you feel that in that first year, that goal was accomplished to satisfaction?
Yeah, I mean, 100%. I mean, the thing is that all of the different organizations too were shutting down.
Right.
Whether it be chambers or other networking events. They just rather, not that there wasn't anybody doing anything, but for the most part, especially the first few months, there really was not a lot available. So it was, a great way, one, to get business owners together, but also just get that knowledge and connection that was missing. So, I mean, especially that first, 4 to 6 months, I mean, I think it was extremely impactful. Obviously over time, virtual wears out a little bit.
Right.
And thankfully we were able to start doing some in-person events and kind of mix the different things that we were doing. But yeah, I mean, the impact, especially in the beginning, I thought was more than I could have ever imagined.
That's super cool. And I love that for you. And I love that for what you built and your team. My next question for you about this is, when you created it, right? Obviously, we're going into COVID. No one really knew what to expect. Did you create it with okay, this is what we're going to do once COVID's over in mind, or was it kind of just created with the virtual side?
Oh no, it was literally just, we were, especially the first few, we were on the fly initially. I mean, again, initially the thought was we'll do one event, get people together, and then we're like, all right, this is a need. I had the time to do it. One, because now things are virtual, so automatically your time available increases. But then two, my business did also slow. So it was just, so we were just kind of regularly on the fly. The three co-founders were regularly in communication conversation.
Right.
Like, this didn't go well, this went well, we like this, et cetera. And we just kept building on it. And then, but I don't know the exact time frame, but then we're like, actually, this can be something long term. Maybe it was 3-4 months in. We're like, we could build this long term into, and we were deciding, do we want to build this as a business, or do we want to build it as a nonprofit? But really, our goal from the start was to give back. So we went with the nonprofit route, which isn't easy, because you especially have no money coming in. But we went that route because we thought that was the best way to give back and be able to provide the best that we could for members.
I like that. I like that a lot. And I so with me being a affiliated with Grow Buffalo and being able to be part of just what I was able to see from just being in certain groups, certain meetings, I was there, I was able to present, but I was also able to feel like the camaraderie that everybody has, right? Everyone's virtual. There's a lot of people in different industries, so many different industries, but when you're on that call or you're in that Zoom, you're in that room, it feels like everybody's part of one thing. And that's what I loved about Grow Buffalo, because it felt like, even though one person's a photographer, one's a real estate agent, one's an insurance broker, and so many different walks of life, when you get in that space, everyone just wanted to engage and have a good time and learn something, or just kind of just be, right? And I believe that really was an outlet for entrepreneurs and just employees, period. Anyone who was involved in Grow Buffalo or in that space, I feel like it gave a sense of normalcy, right? It gave a little bit of, okay, we're just having a morning powwow as if we're just having coffee at Spot Coffee or, Starbucks or something. And it felt organic. Did you know that was going to be the feeling, or did you even know that was part of it at all?
No, I mean, I didn't know, how it was going to be, but I mean, it was just, the part of the goal was not to, was so people could feel comfortable, feel engaged, and just be, also not along the way, especially for me, because I was a huge part of it, and doing a lot of it is just be me and be genuine and not fake along the way, and be as helpful as I could, and try to include people as much as possible. So I just try to utilize the way that I do things, and I think it came along really well. And we had, again, other people involved, and the other co-founders just have a really good mentality about things, and it all came about to allow that type of community and engagement along the way.
Yeah, I like that. I like that a lot. Is there something when building Grow Buffalo or when operating Grow Buffalo that you realize needed to be adjusted, right? Something that as you built, you're like, oh wait, this can't work this way. What was that thing, and how did you course correct?
So along the way, nonstop. I mean, even from our first meeting, we're like, all right, so we were critiquing everything that we were doing, or, hey, this is how we prefer speakers to be and how we can make that happen. But even just me, I suck at admin, and I was handling a lot of that. And that was part of the reason, we, one, just with a lot going on, and the other ventures that I have going on, but also two, to get some of the stuff more organized, we needed to bring somebody else in, because I can come up with ideas, and I can run things, and I can build things. But at a certain point, the administrative and the organization of things is not my skill set at all. So
Right.
over time, as we're doing more and we're building it, that was going to really hurt the organization. So I definitely noticed that, and was glad that we were able to bring on Sabrina sooner than we anticipated. She was initially going to come in on November, and I was going to Arizona in April for a month, and I have, some other personal stuff going on. I'm just like, actually, could you take over now?
Wow. And so she was cool with that.
Yeah, no, she was. Yeah, I don't know if she was, but she did it.
That's really cool. And how do you feel So when you created this, right, this is kind of like your baby.
Yeah.
And you're handing this over to someone. How was that process of vetting the right person to take over?
Well, I mean, it's discussions during board meetings, kind of what we needed now, what the next steps are, what we'll need, after, after her time is up as well. So it's just kind of looking at the whole progression,
Yeah.
of exactly what we need at the moment, personality wise, who she's able to attract, or whoever the person that we were, discussing, who they're able to attract, what their skill set is,
Yeah.
and what else will be needed. So, I mean, we had multiple discussions during our board meetings.
That's really dope that you were able to find somebody within the organization, that you were able to interact with. Because sometimes when someone steps down, there's really no control, right? They're not sure if this person really understands the culture of the business, so they understand the real goal of what they're building. So that's really cool that Sabrina was able to step in
and
be
don't
someone
tell her
like
I
that.
still don't tell her I said it, but I still do help her a lot. So
well, she won't watch this, of course. So
she's the boss though. So
yeah, that's cool though. But I mean, and that's good to be able to still kind of have a hand in the mix, right? With someone that you're familiar with, instead of it being someone that kind of like
I was
didn't
gonna
know
say
anything.
I still get yelled at all the time for doing things without asking. So
oh yeah, I mean you're you though, so that that's your style. I think you enjoy that.
I do enjoy that.
That's really cool, man. So I'm gonna jump into a couple rapid fire questions, and I'll let you determine which ones are serious and which ones are not. However, it's gonna be fun. So, first question is: if you could give advice to anybody who was looking to transition into a new arena, a new job, a new career, embarking on entrepreneurship for the first time, what piece of advice would you give them that you took into your life?
I mean, extreme consistency. I mean, one, you're going to have to give up a lot. When I got into it, I had to liquidate my 401k. The first year in insurance, I did not make much at all. So you're going to have to scale back, and you're going to go through bumps. Even this new business, it scaled quickly, but I also couldn't handle all how quickly it grew. So you're gonna have to go get through the risks and know that those are just gonna happen. And usually my thought is, when you're going through, a lot of shit in your business,
right,
or really in life, usually my thought is something good's around the corner. So keep pushing through.
right.
But extreme consistency in everything, in your networking, your building relationships, your service, just every part of your business. If you're not consistent, you can easily, like, that's the big thing for me, consistency.
Right. I like that. And I think that's I've been getting a lot of different answers on that, and I love that. It's like I'm getting like a smorgasbord of answers from that question. I love it because everybody is giving something different that someone can take and apply. So I love that. So when the consistency meets the opportunity, you're kind of golden. So I love that. The next question I have for you, this one is very serious. It's going to require you to go kind of really deep into your thoughts, and pardon me in advance for making you think this hard. But if you could be any cartoon character from any generation, who would you be and why?
Oh man. Any cartoon character.
Yes.
Oh man, probably. Well, if I thought, I'd have to think really hard, but I know we're already way past the 30 minutes. But one that just pops to my head is Bugs Bunny.
Okay.
One, he's a big jokester. He can go around, kind of do whatever he wants, doesn't get hurt, enjoys life. So I guess that would be the answer that pops to my head.
I like that character, and it's interesting you picked that character, because now that I'm thinking about Bugs Bunny's character and his style, you've never seen Bugs Bunny panic, and I've never seen you panic. Yeah, I'm sure you do. I'm sure you do, and I'm sure he does, but you don't really see it. Like,
yeah.
So the presentation.
That's a good point too. I've learned to deal with stress and difficult. Actually, I like difficult situations. I like a challenge. So
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I like that. I like that selection. Bugs Bunny. That's pretty cool. So the last thing I want to ask you, there's two more questions actually, but the last question is kind of like you sharing information. The last thing I want to ask you is, can you tell us about the new business?
Yeah.
So I want you to give me what that, tell me about that, and if how people can support, or what, what's really, what is that all about?
Yeah, so the business is MJ Capital Resources. We're a commercial mortgage broker on the lending side of things. So what I do is I help facilitate if you're buying a commercial property, whether owner occupied, investment property, even 1 to 4 family properties. I do a lot of refinances on those, or blanket mortgages, or just if you're not putting it in your personal name anymore.
Right.
And what I do is I facilitate from start to finish. So I'm dealing with the bank directly. I'm finding the best lender for you. So I have relationships both nationally and locally. So I take a lot off your plate, but also I have a lot of really good relationships with many of these lenders where I can often get discounted rates and terms and kind of inflexibility. So
Right.
on top of just taking the time, making sure things are done right, I'm typically also able to get you a better rate as well. So I'm working with you. I'm giving guidance also on, I work with a ton of property investors. So, I kind of help, also almost as a consultant also along that process as well. But really it's facilitating that process on any type of commercial mortgage. And I would do, like right now I'm doing a deal that's 90,000 and I'm doing a deal that's 6 million. So it's really wide ranging on who I work with.
Right. That's pretty cool. What made you even want to go that direction?
Well, when I was in banking, lending was always my favorite. It was the thing that I was best at. So I was just really, really good at it. And I actually almost considered going into residential lending as a residential mortgage broker. But I just decided not to, the way the structure was. So it's just interesting that I didn't go into it right away, but things work
Right.
for a reason. And I was about to say something else and I forgot.
Well, that kind of lines me up for my next question. This isn't one of the ones I mentioned before, but do you feel like when building Grow Buffalo and other companies that we talked about the timeline of how things kind of mesh together and you use all those resources in your mind to create this, do you feel that if you wouldn't have created Grow Buffalo, you would be on this path right now?
If I didn't create Grow Buffalo, I probably would not have been on the path that I am now. No, because I would have dove deeper into insurance and continuing to build that and continuing to build the relationships for that. So Grow Buffalo, while I spent a ton of time on it, is something that I wanted to kind of take part in really for the rest of my life, because it is really a passion of mine. It's
Right.
just, it just made sense that it's not something that I could kind of keep going as like a full-time
Right.
thing.
Well, I'm glad that you did build that, and I'm glad that it allowed you to, and step into this new space, step into this new, commercial mortgage investment. Like, that's big, right? That's huge. And like you said, you're doing a deal right now, 90,000, and one that's 6 million. Those conversations have to really like energize you and motivate you.
I love talking about lending. I could talk about lending all day. That's like my favorite part, when I'm initially talking to the customer and figuring out what they need, what they're looking for, and
Right.
then how I can help. That is the part that energizes me. So I do love that. And then I'm slowly expanding out to other areas. I'm getting out to Arizona, expanding there, and eventually Florida. So my goal is to build it and build it in other states as well.
That's really cool, Mike. I appreciate you sharing that with me, and really just sharing that passion that you have for what you've built and what you're building now. That is really, really cool. It's kind of interesting to have you on the opposite side of the mic, right? Because when we first had a real on in-person conversation, you were asking the questions. So I want to switch it up. I know we don't do this on my show, but what I would like to do right now is I'll give you the floor to ask me 2 questions.
Oh man, 2 questions.
And he didn't know I was going to do this, so
No,
these will be interesting.
So, well, one question that pops to mind, we talked in the beginning before we started recording about your initial plans. I guess what is your ultimate goal within the next 5 years with what you're doing right now?
Oh man, you're letting the cat out the bag. All right. I've actually slapped a couple wrists on the show for actually kind of hinting at what I'm doing here.
Oh, you didn't tell me it wasn't allowed to.
It's okay though. It's okay because you didn't know you were going to ask me questions. So now here it is. So I'll tell you guys. You're hearing it here first. Me and Mike. I'm sharing this for the first time, openly. So the Coach Emery show is a talk show. And I want to continue to bring entrepreneurs, people who are strongly passionate about different industries, people who are experiencing triumphs, or people who want to just bring awareness to certain situations. I want this to be the place that they go, right? I want this to be that household name, that familiar place where if something's going on, you want to go to the Emery show. You want to go to sit and chat and bring that information here. So that's really what the vision for this specific show is right now. Long-term, growing it out into a network where it houses other shows, it houses other platforms, it houses other, maybe you'd have a show on investments on the network. Maybe, someone else may have something that brings people or brings knowledge to people. So it's really building a bigger, I guess I'd like to call it a campus, so to speak, a campus that has one big goal, and that's just helping people, but it does it in different ways in each section of the campus. So that's the big picture for what this is right now. And you're the first person to get me to say that live. So congratulations, Mike.
Yeah.
So your second question.
Yeah. So second question, and you have kids, right?
4 daughters. Yes.
Yeah. So what is your favorite thing that you like doing with all 4 daughters, huh?
Favorite thing I like to do with all of them?
Yeah. What's your favorite thing you like to do with your
we
your
are goofy as hell, Mike. So I like to just be fun. I like to make music, like we'll just randomly bust out in a song and everybody jumps in, tapping on something, singing a part, making a harmony. That's really like, that's just my thing. A lot of people don't know this about me, but I also produce music for film, like independent films and commercials. I do commercial music as well. So that's a thing of mine. So they all kind of pick that up naturally from me. And whenever, it doesn't matter when, it's just, we could be at dinner, we could be, watching a movie. It doesn't matter. If someone hears a beat or a melody, they just jump in and we do it. And I love, that's the most favorite thing that we do, because it's so organic and you never know who's going to bring what to it. So that's kind of why it's my favorite thing. So those are good questions, Mike. You should be an interviewer.
Yeah. I don't know if I have the one day, maybe.
No, you've done it already.
I'll just go on the shows for now.
No, you've done it already. Yeah. I enjoy being on the Grow Buffalo show. And I enjoy really, kind of participating in that. So, but yeah, I like your questions. I like your questions a lot. So the last thing I want you to do is tell people where they can find you, where they can support Grow Buffalo, where they can find your business. Spend a couple moments just to kind of let people know where you exist in this world.
Yeah, I mean, growbflo.org. It might even be Grow Buffalo. You can search it, but growbflo.org is the website. We partnered with Dale Carnegie. We're doing workshops with them. We do monthly in-person networking events, weekly virtual in-person events, book club. We have a big vendor event in November. But really where you can kind of keep track of everything is the Grow Buffalo Business Facebook group, not the business page, but the Facebook group. That's where it's a private group. That's where kind of everything happens. But we have a ton of stuff going on, and we just plan on continuing to kind of build off of that. And we love collaborate. Like a lot of organizations, a lot of people look at either other people or organizations as competition. We want to just collaborate. Everyone does something different. Everyone provides something unique, even if there's some similar things. We're all different, and we can all provide different value, and working together we can provide even more. So that's really important. to me and the organization. Myself personally, mjcapitalresources.com. But it's easy to reach me on Facebook. So
yeah, and Mike's very his profile on Facebook is very interesting. You never know what you're gonna get which day, right? Someday you might get a funny caption, someday it might be something about an event. So you definitely stay tuned. If you follow Mike, definitely check his page frequently, because he might make you laugh, he might make you think.
Some people didn't know that I had a sense of humor. So
I didn't at first. I did, because everything was business for a while, and then all of a sudden I started seeing these posts. I'm like, okay. So it's pretty interesting just to see how your mind works. So I'm honored to have you here today.
Yeah, only if you only knew how it really works.
Oh man, I'm scared now. So I'm gonna do something, grabbing something if you can't tell. I'm gonna do something really quickly. So I wrote a book this year. It's called How I Lost My Mind and Why I'm Glad I Did. So what I'm going to do in this episode, because Mike's here, right? And it's Grow Buffalo, I'm going to donate a copy of my book to you, Mike. So I'm going to give you a copy of my book. As you said, you have a book club. So I want you to check it out, and you let me know if it's something that could be, put into your book club. And it's my gift to you for coming on here and also building something that could really help entrepreneurs really sustain throughout the pandemic. I appreciate you doing that. It did help me in my business as well. So kudos to you and thank you for that. And the last thing I want to do is a big shout out to Dope in Real Life. Dope in Real Life is Dope stands for the definition of positive energy. And Dope in Real Life LLC is where you can go and get clothing. There's t-shirts, there's all types of stuff, there's sweatsuits, everything. But Dope in Real Life, that's one of my words. I use dope all the time. I can't stop saying that word because it just fits, right? It's one of those words that can mean anything. It's like cool, right? But I use that word all the time. So again, I'm gonna go ahead and get the book to you. I'll arrange that after the show. I'll get it to you. It'll be signed. It'll be your personal copy. So hold on to it, because it's gonna be worth millions one day.
You're gonna be big in a few years.
Yeah. So once that happens, this book is gonna be like your ticket. So if you haven't already close your own personal $6 million deal, this book's going to help you get there. But so I definitely want to thank you for coming through, Mike. I appreciate you and taking the time out of your day. And for everyone watching, go ahead and subscribe. Make sure you follow the show. Make sure you follow Mike. Check him out. See what he has going on. If you're in the commercial real estate space and you're looking for someone to bounce ideas off of, or to really help you facilitate that next deal, give Mike a call.
Yeah, and if I can't help you, I'll tell you. I'll be straight with you. So
right, and I appreciate that. So Mike, thank you again, and everybody watching. I want you to have a great day. Be dope and be great. Peace.
Yeah, see ya.